So thank you for inviting me to be participating in this wonderful gathering here today on Zoom. Now, we just came from Pesach, and we're getting to Pesach Sheni, and then Lag BaOmer, and then Shavuos. So it's a really good time for Jewish people to share ideas with each other. So because I'm so privileged to be here with you, I'm going to hopefully hear some words of wisdom from you. Is that correct? No one's going to share anything with me? Just me talking today? Solo. Man. One thing good about this group is, I must say, everybody's on video. The only times I talk to a bunch of blank screens because everybody is not on video. And I wonder who I'm talking to. About 20 years ago, someone shared with me a YouTube video that was funny. You see a guy gets up in class and says to the rabbi, "Rabbi, I need to go to the bathroom." So the rabbi says, "You're going to miss the class." He says, "No worries, I have a recorder." And he puts down a recorder on top of his desk. And then a second student said, "They go to the bathroom," and he puts a recorder. Before you know it, all the participants in the class put down recorders. So the rabbi says, "What? I'm talking to recorders." He puts down a player, he presses play, and he walks out.
That's it.
So today's days, talking to people, it's beautiful. I have videos here. You see people's faces. It's really nice. Sometimes you talk, but it's a whole bunch of blank screens. You don't know who you're talking to. So thank you for, first of all, going on camera so I can see your face. That's really good. But please, if you have anything to share or to ask or to participate in my talk, I encourage it. All my classes I give are interactive. I don't like to be the only one sharing jokes. Anyway, talking about the 10 Commandments, the couple comes to the rabbi and says to the rabbi, "Rabbi, can we join your synagogue?" So the rabbi says, "You have to be religious to join our synagogue." "Yeah, I have to be religious?" "That's good news," the person says to the rabbi, "because my wife and I are very religious." So the rabbi says, "Can you explain how religious you are?" He says, "Listen, Rabbi, between my wife and I, we keep all 10 commandments." You got it?
Yeah.
All right, very good. Because you never know, which five, who keeps which five. But yes, 10 commandments are coming, and it's going to be on 4 weeks from today. 4 weeks from today, Shavuos is Sunday and Monday. And on Sunday, it's a very special thing to go to shul and hear the 10 commandments. And on Monday, it's a very special thing to actually keep the 10 commandments. So it's a 2-day holiday. One day you hear them, and second day you do them. Anyways, so yes, Shavuos is one of my favorite holidays. It's not my favorite holiday. My favorite holiday is, one second, hold on. Hamushka. Oh, okay, she ran through. She kind of thought to be quiet. But Shavuos is second favorite holiday. My favorite holiday is Hanukkah. I like Hanukkah. Shh, I'm on the class. You have to be quiet. No screaming here, okay? Good, thank you. So Shavuos is my second favorite holiday. One of the reasons it's my second favorite holiday is because my Hebrew birthday is the day before Shavuos. So 4 weeks from yesterday is my birthday. Can anybody guess how old I'm turning?
39.
39. Very good. That's very good.
Him and Jack Benny. Right. Okay.
39 is a very good guess. Anybody else? Nobody else can guess my age? What are you ashamed of? I'm not going to be afraid.
Rabbi Smith says he knows you for 40 years. I guess 40.
No, it would be 42.
40, 39, 40, and 42. Wow. These are all very good guesses. I want to tell you something very interesting my grandmother once said. My grandmother said between 0 and 40, you're a pisher. And between 40 and 80, you're middle age. And between 80 and 120, you know what that one is, right?
Yeah, you're an alta caca.
Alta caca. Very good. Very good. Very good. So I refuse to grow up. I want to be a pisher, so I'm going to stick with 39. But happens to be that my birthday, I'm turning 48.
All right.
48. And my parents moved to Rhode Island when I was 4 years old. So 44 years ago, we moved to Rhode Island. And the reason why I only know Rabbi Smith for 40 years is because Rabbi Smith is only 39.
Now you have to guess everybody that you see him.
Ah, yeah? You want me to?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I say Ben is, let's see, he's not as young as me, so I'll say he's 58.
And another 21, and it's good.
Kinahara. Okay, you wanted me to guess? I'll guess. Everybody else doesn't have to, I don't have to guess your age. I'm afraid I might guess too high, so it's not going to be nice to guess too high. So yesterday's Parsha was a very interesting Parsha. Did you read yesterday's Parsha, Parsha's Kedoshim? It's a fascinating Parsha. And does anybody in this group here have any thoughts about yesterday's Parsha? Something you liked and you read it and you liked it, and something you read and you had a question about it. No, you want me to tell you what it says? Okay, I'll tell you what it says. Yesterday's Parsha was Kedoshim.
Yeah.
Kedoshim means holy. There's a commandment, the first commandment in yesterday Shabbos Torah reading, Kedoshim Tiyu. God tells Moshe to tell the Jewish people to be holy. Kedoshim Tiyu, you shall be holy. Why? Ki Kadosh Ani, because I, God, am holy. The Jewish people have to be holy because God is holy. So the question is, what does it mean to be holy? And what does it mean to be like God, which is holy? Anybody know the answer? How could you be holy like God?
We can never be as holy as Hashem, but we can do our best to follow the laws and the rules.
Very good.
Besides the 10 Commandments, I mean, it's to learn Torah. We need to learn Torah also.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well,
So,
we're always trying to get closer to God. So I don't know how close we can.
That's true. It's true. You can't get. By the way, it doesn't say to be close to God. It says to be holy.
Well, to
Like
be holy,
God who's holy.
the closer you get to God, the holier you get too.
But could you be holy without being close to God?
You can try.
You can try. Okay, Susan said a good thing, that if you study Torah, you're holy.
Yeah.
Right? I like that answer. I like Ben's answer too. I have one answer that you should be holy means to study God's Torah. And the more Torah you study, the holier you'll be. And Ben tends to be close to God. Guess what, Susan and Ben, I have good news for you. There's a book called the Tanya. Have you heard of Tanya?
Yeah.
And in chapter 5 of Tanya, it says that when you study Torah, is the closest you can get to God is through studying Torah. And the Alter Rebbe explains that when you put yourself into the Torah, right, you delve into the wisdom of Torah, you are inside the Torah. And then when you take the Torah's wisdom and you bring it inside yourself, now you have wisdom of Torah inside you. So the Alter Rebbe says in the Tanya that when you study Torah, you are in the Torah and the Torah is in you. It's a two-way interaction with God. You're bringing something inside you and you are going inside it. It's the only thing you can do, says the Alter Rebbe, that you can be in it and it inside you at the same time. If you put yourself in bed, usually the bed is not inside you, right? Or you go to a swimming pool, you're in the swimming pool, but the swimming pool is not inside you. You're in the pool. When you study Torah, says the Alter Rebbe, you can be two-way. You can be in the Torah and the Torah can be in you at the same time. And therefore it says it's the closest connection to God is through studying Torah. How's that, Susan?
Sounds good.
Wow. So how often should you study Torah?
Every day.
At least once a day.
A couple
Very good.
times every day.
But what happens, Rabbi Smith only has Torah study twice on June. He only has it
Yes.
twice a week, right?
No.
No,
We have a
twice a
class
day.
every day. There's 2 classes every day. No,
Rabbi
so,
Smith gets 2 classes every day?
no, not
Yeah.
Rabbi. His program is two
Ah,
classes.
wow.
Yeah,
So who
Yeah.
teaches them Monday and Tuesday? Someone else.
another rabbi.
Ah, see,
Yeah,
once you have Zoom, you can have, there's no
Everything.
shortage of rabbis.
Right.
No, in the morning, Monday and Tuesday, it's still Rabbi Smith.
Got it. Monday and Tuesday is Rabbi Smith. Very good. And who am I
Sunday,
competing with
Monday,
on
and
Wednesday and
Tuesday.
Thursday? Huh?
Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Ah, okay. Who's Wednesday and Thursday and Friday?
Half and half.
Somebody famous?
We have Rabbi Steinmetz,
Rabbi Estrin is
And
splitting
Rabbi
with
Estrin.
him.
right?
Ah, Rabbi Steinmetz and Rabbi Esprin. Very good. Rabbi Esprin also grew up in Providence. Wow. You had the Laufers and the Smiths and the Estrins. You all grew up together. Very nice.
And Saturday we do it in shul.
Ah, exactly. And Saturday you do it in shul. Exactly. So studying Torah makes you holy. But can I share a screen, Rabbi Smith?
Yes, you can.
I can share a screen?
Yeah, if you can be the post and share the screen, absolutely.
Okay,
can,
it sounds
you
like
can.
okay, I
You
see a share
can.
screen. Okay. There's one of my favorite recommended websites, just in case you get stuck not being able to study with Rabbi Smith on Zoom. Another thing you can do is you can go to our website, chabad.org/daily study. If you put chabad.org/daily study, this is what you get. You get a section of Torah for that day, a section of Psalms, section of Tanya, section of a Yom Yom, section of Rambam every day. So let's say I go to last week's Parsha, and I go to Sunday of last week. That was Kedoshim. I go to text, and over here it says with Rashi. I have Hebrew and English with Rashi. It says over here, speak to the entire congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, am holy. What does it mean? So Rashi explains, speak to the entire congregation of Israel, teaches us that this passage was stated in the assembly of the entire congregation of Israel. Why did he have to have everybody there to listen to him? Because most of the fundamental teachings of the Torah are dependent on last week's Parsha. Now, number 2, you shall be holy. What does it mean, be holy? Separate yourself. A very important rule in Judaism is the word holy, kadosh, also has the same etymology as separate. Every time it says holy, it means separate. Shabbos is holy because it's a separate day of the week, separate on its level from any other day. The Jewish people are holy because we are a separate group of people and we have separate obligations. We have separate obligations. So whenever it says holy, it also means separate. But here, let's see over here. Separate yourself from sexual immorality and from sin. This is a very important thing, which I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir. But one of the biggest concerns I have today with America is sexual immorality. I don't want to get too deep into the topic, but when you answer, what does it mean to be holy? One of the answers is to study Torah. One of the answers is to be pure, such as how we behave sexually. Number 3 is also to be holy by going to the mikvah. If anybody is in a relationship of marriage, there's a mitzvah for the woman to go to the mikvah. It's a very big mitzvah, and it makes the entire relationship holy. And then over here it talks about Shabbos. Shabbos also is a very important way of being holy. So I think the answer to the question of what is the answer of you shall be holy, there's not one size fits all. There are multiple ways to be holy. And in our Jewish religion, we're very blessed by God that he gave us hundreds of ways to be holy. Actually, to be exact, he gave us 613 commandments, basically 613 ways that we can be holy. So it's very easy to be a rabbi.
Laufer.
We need to be muted.
Yeah, I see Rabbi Smith ready to use. So yes, Being holy is a very interesting and very important detail to being Jewish. And the good thing is, it's not one size fits all. Everybody can be holy. One person can be holy by keeping Shabbos. One person can be holy by studying Torah. One person can be holy by behaving a certain way with the opposite gender. And there are multiple ways of being holy. And I think it's a topic which is not discussed often enough by rabbis about this concept of being holy. We talk about being kind. We talk about giving charity. We talk about, different eat matzah on Pesach and make sure you give shalach manos on Purim. But there's something that I think every Jewish person should work on and strive for is to be holy. And it's not one size fits all, and you don't have to worry about copying anybody else. Look in your own personal life and say, am I doing something to be holy? Which means something to be closer to God, something to be different and separate from the mishigas and all the impurities that are going on in the world. Am I doing something special on Shabbos? And different things like this can make you holy. And it's part of being Jewish, is to be holy. And it doesn't mean you have to be ascetic, which means you don't have to leave the physicality of the world. One of the ways of being holy on Shabbos is to eat good food, right? It's a mitzvah on Shabbos to have good food and to drink wine. So there are ways to do things in Judaism that are physical and down to earth, and at the same time to be holy at the same time. Thank God our religion doesn't require us to separate ourselves from the physical world in order to be holy. Other religions, they say, if you want to be holy, you have to separate yourself from all kind of physical behavior. Judaism doesn't say that. Judaism doesn't say you have to separate yourself from certain behaviors. On the contrary, sometimes certain behaviors will actually make you holier. For example, and this you might find interesting. Did you know in some religions, in Rhode Island, most of the people in Rhode Island are Catholic. Our majority of our state of Rhode Island is Catholic. So the majority of clergy in Rhode Island are not allowed to get married, right? Because they believe the only way to get close to God is to not be married. And they made a big mistake. Why? If you study the Torah, it says that the holiest person in the Jewish people is who?
Moses.
No, got to try again. He's second to the holiest. Who's the holiest person in the Jewish people?
The Kohen Gadol.
Excellent, the Kohen Gadol. Now today, you know what it says in today's parsha? Today's parsha is Emor. You know what it says in Emor? Actually, it says it in Achari, but it mentions it again today. You know what it says?
Married.
He has to be married. On the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur, he goes into the Holy of Holies, the holiest place in the world, which is the place with the Ten Commandments. And in that place, he's going to do a special service to pray for a good year and forgiveness for the entire Jewish people. The only way he can do it is if he's married. So they were very nervous that, God forbid, his wife should pass away 5 minutes before Yom Kippur, they're going to be in trouble. So they had to have a setup. If the Kohen Gadol's wife would pass away, they had to have a girl ready for him to get married to so he can be married. Otherwise, he couldn't go into the Holy of Holies. So it shows us that certain things in Judaism, in some religions, they may say, oh, profane, oh, unholy. We say it's the holiest thing. It's the holiest thing. To be married is very holy. So you see that with Jewish religion, it doesn't mean you have to separate yourself from the world. You can be holy, but be in the world. I'm going to say a little joke now. I hope that Rabbi Smith is not going to be upset at me for saying this joke. The Pope went to heaven. He passed away, the Pope. And God said to the Pope, oh, holy man, what's your wish when you get to heaven? Whatever your wish is, I'm going to give you the wish. So the priest says, the Pope says, can I go into the heavenly library? I want to read the original text. So God says, of course. What do you mean? I escorted him right into the heavenly library, and he comes out an hour later, yelling and screaming. He's white in his face. White in his face. So God doesn't understand. You never got mad once in your life. You know, you're the Pope. why are you so angry now? He says, because I read the original text and I'm very angry. He says, what was it? He says, I read the original text and it has the letter R. Letter R? Why would one letter make you so angry? He says, because there was a letter R in the word celebrate. He said, what do you mean? He says, because we're down here below in earth, they took out the letter R. Chutzpah. No, what happened? You take out the R from celebrate?
Not married. Yeah, not get married.
Exactly. He was all angry that he found the letter R. Why didn't they tell me it's a misspelling? You have to put the letter R. You know, they say that a priest was telling a rabbi, you have to try some bacon. And no, the rabbi said, no, I keep kosher. I'm never going to try bacon. Never, ever in my life am I going to try bacon. For years and years and years, this priest was driving the rabbi crazy. You must try. It's good. Try bacon. Finally, one time he screamed at the rabbi, says, when are you going to try bacon? The rabbi said to him, at your wedding.
Yeah, that's really good.
So I love Judaism. I know I'm biased. I'm a rabbi, but Judaism is a very meaningful religion. Very meaningful religion. But I want to tell you a few things that are important. You know, some psychologists, they want to make a psychologist's job is to help a person be happy, right? What makes a person happy? So there's a famous psychologist, Viktor Frankel. Viktor Frankel said that a person is only going to be happy if he has meaning. He has a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Because a person is a very special person. A human being is a holy person. And if you don't have a purpose in your life, you don't have what you're living for, if you don't have meaning in your life, you're not going to be happy. So therefore, if you want a person to be happy, you have to give them meaning. You have to give them purpose. But other psychologists, I forget the name of them right now, other famous psychologists said that really to make a person happy, you have to give them pleasure. If they have pleasure, they're going to be happy. And then another psychologist says that some people need power. So what I find in my life is that there are three things that can make a person happy. One is power, one is pleasure, and one is purpose. And they all start with the letter P. A person who wants power and power makes him happy, how long is he going to be happy for after he has power?
Not much.
Not much. Why not?
Because it's a limit. It's a limit for that. If you
That's
reach
true.
it, you accomplished your mission.
That's true. But you know what I find? I find that people who have power are happy today. Tomorrow they're not happy. You know why? Because they want more power.
Oh,
And they want more power. They're never going to be satisfied. Think about someone like Putin. You think Putin's going to be happy if he ever gets Ukraine? He's never going to be happy. The second he gets Ukraine, he's going to want Poland. So power is very dangerous. How about pleasures? Pleasure, okay. What happens about a person who's every day wants the pleasure? You have Americans, most Americans have a mishigas. They have the pursuit of happiness, right? So all their life, they're chasing, they're running for happiness. And they're running and running for pleasure. You think they're ever happy? Sometimes they're happy. But how long they're happy for?
not long.
Not long. How about
The Hasidim are happy.
why? Because the Hasidus Jewish way of life, not just Hasidim, the Jewish way of life is to have a purpose,
Right?
and to do mitzvahs. Have you ever did a mitzvah and you felt happy after you did the mitzvah? How long did that happiness last?
Until the next mitzvah.
But surely I did mitzvahs 50 years ago, not 50 years old, 30 years ago, and I'm still happy. It means to say is, yes, I want more mitzvahs, but ultimately, a person does a mitzvah, that joy lasts with you forever. Never goes away, never fades away. I got a call one time from a local teenager. He needs public service hours. He stole somebody's iPhone. The car was open. He put his head in the car. He took the phone. He got caught. The judge told him he has to do 10 hours community service. So when he came to me, I told him, what gives you happiness? He said, oh, I love going to the bar. I love parties. He says, okay, and the next morning you feel happy? He says, not really, but when I'm at the bar, I'm very happy. I said, did you ever help an old lady carry a bag at the supermarket? He says, yeah, one time I helped an old lady carry a bag and I opened the door for her. Now, how do you feel about it today? He says, I still feel good about it. Because when you do a mitzvah, you feel good forever. It goes with you forever, and the joy increases and increases and increases. So why did God create power? Why did God create pleasure? If you don't need power, you don't need pleasure. You just need to do purpose. The answer is, say the rabbis, you do need power. You know why you need power? I'll tell you in a second why you need power. But before I give you the answer, I'm going to tell you something very interesting in Judaism. And this is taught in Hasidic philosophy over and over and over again. What is a human being? Is a human being an animal? A sophisticated animal?
Partially.
Okay, so what's the other part?
Spiritual, I'm sure.
Very good. Yeah, that's a good answer. I'm going to give you one way to answer it. And this is one way to answer it. There's a few, it's the same idea the other rabbis say, spiritual and physical, but I'm going to say it this way. In the beginning, when God created the world, first he created angels. And he gave the angels the keys to the car. And the angel got into a car and couldn't figure out how to drive the car. How do you drive a car? Angel can't figure out how to drive it. Then God created animals. And the animals couldn't figure out how to drive a car. Right? How the animal can't figure out how to drive a car? So God took an angel and put the angel inside an animal, and now they can drive cars. Is that true? Right? So Judaism says that really a human being is an angel. And God took the angel and put it inside an animal. And now together, the angel together with the animal can drive cars. So what's it better? Better to be an animal or better to be an angel? Robert has a question. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand and I appreciate your description of Hasidic philosophy, but I'm really curious, what value is satisfaction within Hasidic philosophy as well? Is there a place for satisfaction and the value of it?
Ooh, that's a nice, good question. I like that question, Robert. That's a good question. All right, let me think about it for the next minute, Robert. I'll get back.
Okay.
My brain is going to process while I'm talking and see what I come up with. So let's say we have an angel that's put into an animal, and God gave human beings power. You know why he gave us power? The reason why he gave us power is so that the angel can overpower the animal. Because the angel has to be in the lead. The animal is the vehicle for the angel to do what it needs to do. If the animal is let loose and the animal starts to have more power than the angel, it can behave like an animal. It can eat too much. It can do all kind of mishigas too much. It can even hurt other people. So therefore, God gave power to a human being to overpower the animal and to harness the animal and to see to it that the angel should be able to ride the animal in a good way. Now, why did he give pleasure? Why pleasure? Because the way that's how animals work. Animals work with pleasure. You want a horse to move, you give the horse a little bit of hay and it moves. So the pleasure part is really for the animal. That's really what it's for. Now, if you want to make the animal holy, how do you make the animal holy? You do a mitzvah with the animal. You do a mitzvah with the animal becomes holy. Now, if you don't have any pleasure, right, it might be a question if the animal was involved. It might only be the angel. So Shabbos, we have to give the animal pleasure. You have to feed the animal. You have to use your physical body in a pleasurable way on Shabbos. And then if you give the animal pleasure on Shabbos, then the animal is also keeping Shabbos. If you pray all day and you study all day, then the angel is celebrating Shabbos. But if you sit down and you enjoy a good, delicious piece of kugel, then not only your angel is doing Shabbos, but your animal is also doing Shabbos. So pleasure is important in order for the animal to experience the mitzvah as well on an animal level. And then, of course, we have purpose. And purpose is when the animal and the angel do it together for a reason. We overpower and we have pleasure, and we do it all for a purpose. We do it for God. We do it for the world. We do it for Mashiach. We do it for our neighbor. You do it for a purpose, then it's really going to be good. Now I have a question that Robert asked me. When do you get satisfaction? That's a hard one, because complete satisfaction is not so good. You have to have some satisfaction, but not complete satisfaction. If you're completely satisfied, you know what happens, right?
There's no place else to go.
Right. But there is room for satisfaction. There has to be room for satisfaction. Otherwise, well, your animal is going to be like upset, right? You have to go to work. You have to make a living. You have to be able to buy a house. You have to be able to support your family. You have to be able to, take care of your health, and you have to be somewhat satisfied that you're doing your part of the job. So is there room for satisfaction? I'm absolutely comfortable to say yes. 100% satisfied. A little bit of guilt you have to have, as part of being Jewish, Robert. A little bit of guilt is good to have, I davened today, and I gave charity today, and I ate healthy food today, and I kept Shabbos today, and I went to the mikveh today. Anything you did today, you ate matzah and Pesach, and you ate matzah 8 days of Pesach. You kept Pesach. You didn't eat any bread for 8 days. Could you be satisfied? Absolutely, you could be satisfied. You should be satisfied. You did a big mitzvah, and you did an amazing thing, and you should be satisfied. So the answer to your question is yes. But I want to ask Rabbi Smith to help me. Rabbi Smith, how can we answer that question? Give me a tip. How do we answer the satisfaction question in Judaism?
Exactly as you said is what was going through my mind.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
okay. Maybe somebody else wants to add something to satisfaction. Isaac, you want to say something? Take off mute, Isaac. Unmute, and you can tell us about satisfaction.
Hey, it's
go
Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day. I'm visiting my mother.
Oh, man, that's a big
I
mitzvah.
would say you can have satisfaction, but you're having satisfaction in specific items, either that you did or that Hashem did for you, or, Hashem does it through you too, but individual things. The type of satisfaction you're talking about is to lean back and say, oh, I'm satisfied with everything. But that's way too broad. You can have individual satisfaction with a deus of Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. That's where you're saying you're both Shechianu and you're saying thank you to Hashem. It's both. It's an accomplishment by both of us. And then you're giving Hakaras Hatov. And then you can move on to the next item. But each one of these is separate, millions of separate items. That's all.
Isaac, you remind me of a joke, Isaac. A mother gave her son 2 sweaters for the winter. And the son was a very nice son. When he came to visit the mother, he made sure to wear one of the sweaters. As soon as he opens the door at his mother's house, his mother says to him, what's wrong with the other sweater? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's a famous joke about mothers.
No, but the key is yes, but the key is to always focus back to the positive. The problem is everybody looks first at what's wrong. And then, you start from there. It's hopeless. If somebody once held up a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with a black dot on it and held it up to the crowd and said, what do you see? And everybody said, just a black dot. He says, and what about the rest of the paper that's all clean and white?
Right, very good. Right.
So that you start there. I see a nice blank sheet of paper with a dot. Fine. But you have to at least start with the positive, and it changes your whole frame of reference.
Right.
That's all.
Now it reminds me of a saying from the Lubavitch Rebbe. The reason why we have 2 eyes. One of the reasons we have 2 eyes is one eye, we should look at our friend who has physically less than us and be satisfied. Look at someone else who has less physically and be satisfied. In the other eye, you should look at someone who has more spiritually and not be satisfied. So on the one hand, it comes to the physical, we should be satisfied. And when it comes to the spiritual, we should not be satisfied. So I think when it comes to satisfaction, the same thing with that. On the one hand, you can be satisfied, but not that satisfied, just the right amount. Right? The famous, I put a little salt just the right amount of salt, not too little and not too much. So, thank you for that question, Robert. That's a very fascinating question.
Thank
So,
you.
just to bring back to the circle of life and a human being, I find something very interesting. I find, it could be I'm wrong, but this is my theory. My theory is, when you're born, you're more like an animal. And as you grow up and you go through education and training and a bar mitzvah and you get married and the steps of life, more and more you become more towards the angel side. So this is my wonder. We said before that the first 40 years you're a pisher, that's more to the animal side. For the first 40 years, you have to fight your animal and try to harness your animal to do mitzvahs and control and make sure that it's not doing anything wrong. The second 40 years of your life is like equilibrium. You're like equal. You're half an angel, you're half an animal, and you're sort of here and there. You're both. And hopefully you're working in peace, you're working in sync. Your angel and your animal are on one team, and they're working for the same goal and same purpose, and it's good. And then the 80 to 120, then you're an angel. How many people from 80 to 120 get arrested by the police? How many 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds get arrested by the police? You ever see anybody get arrested by the police, 80, 90
The
years
ones
old?
they get lost.
Yeah, they get lost, right? And they have to be brought home because they lost their mind and they walked off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not sad. It's a sad story. We have a nursing home across the street, and they called the police. One guy ran out of the nursing home. They chased him down the street. Yeah, it's not fun. But so you see that the beginning of our life is more animal. Then we work on ourselves to develop a connection between our body and our soul to be in sync. They should be working together. Oh, welcome. Say hello. And then when we get older, then wave your hand high. Say hi. And then when we get older, 80 to 120, then we're more like an angel or more spiritual. And did any of you ever find that when you turned 40 years old, you had like a aha moment? You felt different when you turned 40?
Yeah, I needed glasses.
I just went to the doctor last week, Monday, and I'm getting the progressive ones, for the reading.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can see what I read. Now I can't see what I'm reading. So what does that mean? When I reach the age of middle age? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I have to get reading
That's
glasses.
right.
Don't you think that the physical body actually created the way where your satisfaction with just the physical part became secondary, because you cannot eat more than a certain amount, you cannot eat salt, you cannot eat fat, you cannot eat sugar. It's almost like it's a purposely done to focus more on the spiritual way. That's why I think the age in this case plays a very important and positive part in gearing you toward wisdom and holiness and doing things that are really matters. And I think that for many people, especially when they're alter cockers, they start thinking about the end of your life and what exactly is it? What is the meaning? Do you have a summary of good things that you did? Do you leave a legacy in your family? Do you have completely different purposes than to make more money, to create more wealth, to be satisfied with physical pleasures only? It's not only a matter of choice, it's quite often a matter of purpose. Just physically, just your age makes a difference.
Let me add on for what Anna says, is that the older I get, the more I'm aware of and accept my limitations. Right? It's true, okay?
Once
I
you're
may be
aware,
the same person
moral.
inside, but I'm aging, and I have to then deal differently according to what I know I can do and cannot do, and accept it positively.
But at the same time, Robert, it's exactly what maybe we discussed, that it's a pyramid that is getting to our much more purposeful spending of your time. Time becomes so valuable. And yes, you have physical limitations, but your wisdom and your knowledge is bringing you to completely different possibilities morally and spiritually.
Right, absolutely.
It's
And every day I find the days to be shorter, even though they're 24 hours, they're
right,
shorter. And you got to
Right.
accomplish more to make
Right.
sure that you're satisfied. You know, that,
So
you know, you
so
don't
here's
know
my
what
question.
tomorrow's going to bring us.
Here's my question. I think Florida has the oldest medium age of people, right?
Right, and the most doctors, right, yeah.
After
So-
Japan, we are the next one.
Oh, Japan has also such old people?
Yes, much older. Yeah, it's one of the oldest populations in
okay.
general,
So
statistically.
my question is, does that make Florida the holiest place in America?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the people who want to pursue being holy, they should move to Florida, right?
Definitely. No, that's for sure. When I came here 30 years ago, I came here 33 years ago. It's a week before Hurricane Andrew. No, it's 30 years ago. I found the community, and NMB, I think is the essence of it, but you can even talk about other neighborhoods in different ways, but similar. But you're talking about Jewish communities in the United States, I found the only community where you have the Hasidim walking out of one shul, you have the Misnagdim walking out of another, you got the Sfardis walking out of another, and you got, let's make Lubavitch a separate one. It really is. And you have Lubavitch walking out of another one, each with their own customs and each with their own things. And we all have a hakafa together on Simchas Torah on the streets.
Wow.
I've never seen that anywhere else in the United States.
Wow.
So I said, that's why this place is for me.
So if a person is a rabbi in Florida, does that make him a holier rabbi?
Has potential.
Has potential.
And now
right.
what happens if the
Right.
rabbi becomes a rabbi exclusively for older people? Does that make him even holier?
He's
No.
climbing the ladder. That's what I'm doing. And I'm not a
I'm-
rabbi.
No, because Rabbi Smith is a holy man. He's a rabbi in
Yes,
Florida.
he is.
He's
Oh,
a rabbi for older
absolutely.
people. He's a holy, he's such a lucky
Well,
guy
no,
to be a rabbi.
No, but it works both ways, because you also have the whole key, and the only thing you really leave behind is the next generation. So you also have the mechanchim and the
Okay.
teachers who are teaching the little children. They are probably just as holy, if not more, but they also have a bigger achrayus,
Right.
because what they do is going to walk down the street in 10 years, and is going to be Yiddishkeit.
So the future holy people who are going to be angels at 80 years old have to be educated at 8 years old.
You got
They
the
get-
potential down here. Yep. This the
If you
raw
wanna have good-
material. The ore is here. ORE. The ore is here. You got to bring in the wells or the shovels or whatever it
Yeah.
is to dig it up.
Right. So you need to have young people to be educated. You need to have middle-aged people who can take the holiness and bring it into the physical reality of the world. And then you have to have older people who can pray and make sure that the young people do it right.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
a
you
good
have
thing.
Rabbi Smith that can do all of it.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But,
And to
but
Shep
he-
Nachas.
he's also a great teacher.
For kids?
It's not just for anybody. I mean, nobody explains things simpler and better than he does.
Ah, amazing. Right. Baruch Hashem. Wow,
Oh.
very good. It's amazing. So, this concept of life and being holy and being a little older in age should give you a happiness, should give you joy, should
Right.
give you the recognition that you reached this wonderful stage, and God should bless you that you should be in good health and be able to keep on using your brain until you're
Amen.
120.
Amen. Every day.
Other things to do.
I want you to
Okay,
study
then.
Torah.
I cannot be
every
forgetting
day
you,
of your
not
life.
forgetting you. You know,
And,
something, just call.
We have to mute somebody.
Yeah, we did.
Wait until the shear's over. This is a live
Okay, any other,
shear.
before I continue, I want to make sure, any other thoughts or questions or comments on this idea that humans are a merger of an angel and an animal? And as you get older, your animal becomes more in control and your angel starts to shine. Any other thoughts or questions on that topic?
I do. I don't know about the animal being more in control. I would expect that we overcome the animal instinct because we define the animal instinct as not necessarily positive. Am I wrong in that? And so we'd overcome that and more towards the angel element because we want to do good and help people.
But you can't just wipe away the animal part because.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but you understand it and control it.
Control the ego, back to the
Right. So one of the questions I had for you is, what's the definition of an angel? Because is an angel an agent of Hashem, a messenger of Hashem, or somebody who is intermediary between us and Hashem? I don't know how to define angel sometimes.
The angel part, the messenger and agent of Hashem. The word for angel in Hebrew is malach. Malach means a messenger.
Yeah,
God
I wanted to add something to it. I wanted to add something to it. When up to 40, you say you're a pisher, we had enough of that for 40 years. Now we want to see something better than that. And that's why we go to more ruchaniyut than physical needs.
Right. Yeah, you get sick of that stage. But
Right.
it goes together because Anna said it's a package deal. If we really analyze the way God designed human beings, it's amazing. The whole design of humans. It's such an amazing design. It's all to create a beautiful world for God here on earth. And the way it's done is multiple stages. You need kids, you need middle age, you need seniors, you need every single possibility to contribute and do mitzvahs. If you only had young people, you wouldn't have, the wisdom and the insight that the older people have. But it's a progressive. It's a life. You progress from level to level, and as you get older, you should get excited because you're closer, you're holier, you finally got your animal under control. It's such an unbelievable thing to be in a stage of what they call senior citizen. Because spiritually, you're stronger as can be. When it comes to spiritual strength, that's what seniors have. With physical strength, that's what younger people have. So we can walk around complaining, I'm getting older, it's so hard, I'm not as strong as I used to be. Or you can say, no, I'm much stronger than I used to be, spiritually.
Right, you redefine it. When I get older, I don't have the koyach any longer as when I was younger, okay? So you channel it differently, or you accept it differently.
Or you realize the privilege of it differently.
Right, absolutely.
It's a whole privilege to be able to get to this age, and be able to do mitzvahs and to be able to daven and to be able to come on Zoom and have a Torah study. It's a really special age to be in, and I'm just very privileged to be here with you guys. You guys are there. You're at that age and stage, and I'm hoping you're going to give me some of that holiness in this class. I hope I can cash in with being, because you have a connection with older people. Maybe you have a connection to holier people.
Well, maybe you should move back to Florida. That's all.
Baruch Hashem. That's why we have Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, you should know that in America, I believe the oldest Jewish population in America is Florida. After Florida is Arizona. And after Arizona is Rhode Island.
It's where?
Rhode Island, where I live.
Rhode Island. Oh, okay. All right.
Well, Rhode Island is a.
If you say so.
Yeah, we have the third oldest Jewish population in America, after Florida and Arizona. Florida and Arizona people.
You have the Pilgrim Jews.
No, Rhode Island has a lot of, just because Rhode Island's an old community and very few young people are moving here.
Right. They're not staying there. They're not staying there, the kids.
Yeah, but so you have older people. Most of my people I deal with are older people. And I have an older population. I do a lot of things with older people. And the older people are just not only, they're okay, they're better. Because they're more spiritual, they're more holy, and they're
we
more
have more
closer to-
depth. We have more depth, let's say.
Exactly.
All the Chabads have more older people, and they are really looking for younger people.
Oh, well,
Because
I see a lot of young people who are
their
part of Chabad
communities are
wherever I
aging.
go.
The communities are aging, and they all lacking younger people.
Ah, now, on the other hand, on the one hand, every rabbi has two hands.
Right.
On the one hand, senior citizens are amazing,
Yeah.
right? And they're the best. On the other hand, if you don't have children, you're not going to have senior citizens.
Right.
But one of the biggest dilemmas that we have today is that the younger generation is not living as Jewish as the older generation did when they were children.
Right.
When they were children, they did more Judaism. And therefore, when they got older, they continued and grew. And the younger generation, Nebuch, is a big problem. I don't know about Florida, but in Rhode Island, 80% of the Jews in Rhode Island don't go to temple even once a year. Even once a year.
It's in the whole country. It's not just in Rhode Island.
And that's why I have to go door to door. Yeah.
And that was from only 20% left, and that was 210 years of slavery and baby killing.
Now,
just
Isaac,
imagine how many are going to leave when you have Wi-Fi and lush lawns and everything's fine here.
Just remember, Isaac, to always remember one thing. What you want, I think you're right. The Chamushim part, you're right. But one thing to remember is when Mashiach comes, no Jew will be left behind.
No Jew who accepts and goes along will be left behind.
Okay, so therefore, what do
you
I
have
do?
a chiyuv. Otherwise, you have the NFL Super Bowl halftime show concept of Mashiach, that we're all going to sit back and watch for the sky to open and the lights to flash and somebody to come riding down.
I agree with Isaac. I agree with
Nothing's
Isaac, and
gonna
therefore,
change. We're in Mashiach now. We just got to move a little bit. You don't have to do a lot. You just got to do a little bit.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Because I agree with Isaac, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm very worried what's going to be when Mashiach comes and who is going to go, and be Jewish when Mashiach comes. Therefore, I want to make sure that every Jew in my area has at least some Jewish identity. So when Mashiach comes, they should all show up and say, I'm here, and be part of the Mashiach. So the Rebbe instructed us to make sure that we shouldn't let the Jewish people drift away and get lost. So before Pesach, Rabbi Smith mentioned before Pesach for 5 weeks, I went door to door, and I try to give matzah to everybody I can before Pesach. I figured out, I go give a matzah and I give them a paper that says, make sure you eat 1 ounce of matzah the night of Pesach, and it's a big mitzvah. So I went to 1,000 houses to give matzah. I wouldn't be surprised if 3/4 of them would not have bought matzah if I didn't bring them matzah. And I would say a good chunk of them wouldn't eat matzah unless they had matzah. So because of what you said, Isaac, it's very important that not only Chabad rabbis, but every single Jew in the world should look out for another Jew and try to keep that other Jew connected on some level so that when Mashiach comes, they should show up. They should participate. So one easy example is the matzah. I think matzah is a very easy example because not everybody's going to buy matzah. Not everybody has matzah. But if we spend a few weeks before Pesach thinking about who we can give matzah to, then a lot more Jews are going to have matzah. And this includes nursing homes. This includes assisted livings. This includes prisons. This includes the places that most likely Jews will not get matzah. And it's a really important thing to go around and make sure to give matzah. And part of my 1,000 houses that I went to was nursing homes. The Jews in nursing homes would have never got matzah. Nobody cares for them. Why give them matzah? They're old people. I went to nursing homes. You know what most of the nursing homes had for them? Most of them had macaroons. I said, but they have to have matzah. It's Pesach. So they got the macaroons, didn't get the matzah. So it's important to look out and to try to make sure. I went to one house and I said to the lady, where's your son? She's always in college. Does he have matzah? So she calls up the son, do you have matzah? He says, no, I don't have matzah. Right away, she went on Amazon and ordered matzah for her son to be delivered on time for Pesach. Everybody should spend time thinking about who they can give matzah to. Now it's already Pesach. What am I preaching for? But next year or any holiday, come Rosh Hashanah, make sure everybody should hear shofar. But it's a very interesting thing that the Rebbe, we're very blessed and privileged that we had the Rebbe with us. And the Rebbe loved every single Jew and wanted no Jew to be left behind. Every Jew should be participating, and every Jew should have a mezuzah in their house. Every Jew should try to keep something, for Shabbos, like the candles on Friday night, or like if it's an assisted living, light a light bulb. Daven, say Shema every day. Encourage people to say the Shema, or invite them to come to this class. Next time I come to this class, I want to see twice the amount of people. I don't know if it's going to happen, but everybody can say Amen.
I want to say one thing about the matzah.
You can bring your chevra too.
Oh, good. What do you say, Ben?
I wanted to say one thing about matzah and seniors. I hope they all have the teeth to eat the matzah. Because my father used to say, because he grew up in 1910, there were not enough dentists in Ukraine at that time. They kept pulling out his teeth. He ended up at 35 with no teeth.
Wow.
So he used to say, it's really too bad. God gives people nuts when they don't have teeth. Because when he gets to 35, 40, he's kind of more financially available to buy nuts.
Right.
Before that he couldn't afford it, but then he didn't have his teeth. So
now what's the rule, Rabbi Smith? I think a senior citizen that doesn't have teeth could make the matzah wet, right?
Yeah, you make it wet. Yep. They
But
can
it's
grind
not
it and they can
kosher.
make it wet. Both.
Yeah.
No, you're allowed to wet the matzah for sure.
Oh yeah.
You're allowed to wet the matzah to be able to swallow it. Of course, Hasidim try not to wet the matzah. There is a tradition not to try not to wet the matzah generally, but for someone who's older in Shulchan Aruch, it says that you dip it in water and you eat it. But
because you can't make matzah brai, it's not kosher for Hasidim.
You put a piece in your mouth and you have a little bit of wine with it.
No, you can't. No. If you have wine with it, you don't fulfill the mitzvah of matzah.
Water. Right, has to have water.
Dip it in water.
Okay.
Now, Ben,
Thank
you know how old Moshe was? Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses. You know how old he was when you left Egypt?
80?
80 years old. You know what happened? They say Moses ate so much matzah. After eating so much matzah, you know what he said? He said, "Let my people go."
Was constipated.
So Isaac says if you drink grape juice or wine during the Seder, then they won't have such a bad effect of matzah.
Right.
By the way, you can get a whole wheat matzah too. They have whole wheat matzah. But yeah, so
you just reminded me with the matzah. You reminded me what my father used to say. So
yeah, the older people. I remember my grandfather. My grandfather didn't have any teeth from Russia, and there was a big problem with the eating the matzah. I think, man.
Well, you pass the teeth along with the piece of matzah. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So God bless you all to be healthy and strong, and have a good dentist to help you keep your teeth.
Thank you.
it doesn't apply,
And you should live till 120 and be able to live independently and be able to eat matzah and be able to participate on Zoom with Rabbi Smith and have a lot of nachas from the children and grandchildren. They should all be inspired to follow Torah
And the great-grandchildren.
And the great-grandchildren, all the generations to come. And then they should all be excited to be Jewish and pray to God there should be peace on earth. No more war in Ukraine. No more terrorist attacks in Israel. Mashiach right now. Amen.
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 Thank you very, very much.
No, you have to just get the Jews out. You have to get the Jews out of Ukraine, and then daven that both sides should win. Should have a big, successful victory. But first, get the Jews out. That's all.
Every human being is God's children. God doesn't want anybody to die. God hates
They
war.
want to kill themselves. I'm not.
God doesn't want war.
But they do it to themselves. That's all.
Wow.
Thank you very, very much, Rabbi Laufer.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And Yasher, this is wonderful. It's really very, very nice.
And thank you, Rabbi Smith, for introducing us to Rabbi Laufer as well.
Yes, thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome.
Thank you, rabbis.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
Bye, Gazelle.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, rabbis.
Happy Mother's Day.